Hi, and welcome to the Encore Connection. My name is Monica Primo, and today we are talking about how do you use your resources, your finances, and your wealth to live the life that you have always dreamed of, and now that you're transitioning into living now. I'm so excited to have Melissa Moss. She is a certified financial planner, and we're going to have just an engaging and lovely conversation today about this topic. So, welcome, Melissa.
Thanks for having me, Monica. I'm excited to be here today.
Yeah, so, let me tell you a little bit about Melissa. Melissa didn't start out to be a financial planner, but she had a life-changing moment that led her to a career in wealth management. And after a decade in a nonprofit leadership, she witnessed firsthand how having a small amount of money could make the difference between opportunity and limitation. And that realization sparked her transition into becoming a certified financial planner. So now Melissa helps families design their futures with that same care as an architect would take drafting blueprints in a dream home. She uses the Certified Financial Planning Board's financial planning process to ensure that her clients have options to secure their ideal lifestyle, whether it's buying the perfect home, affording top tier healthcare, traveling, or leaving a lasting legacy. She's a graduate of Florida State University and spent time in Paris, which taught her the balance between art and logic. And she believes that financial security isn't just about money, but about what money makes possible. And when she's not planning her clients' futures, she's working toward her own health and fitness goals, guided by the same discipline and long term vision that she preaches. So she lives in Metro Atlanta with her golden retriever, Riley, and who reminds her daily to find joy in the moment. And most of all, Melissa is on a mission to help families build their financial independence so they can say yes to the life they want. And I think that is just an amazing background and focus for your business, Melissa.
Yes, well, thank you for that lovely and in-depth introduction of me. And yes, I think it's so important. Financial having access to money is so important, especially as we age. And it's not just because there are dollars in the bank. It really is about what that can mean in your life and what that affords you.
Mhm. So women who are retiring today are at a unique point in history where in the past, it was typically the husband or the head of the household that had the money, had the retirement, and the woman was kind of along for the ride. And we're at a different place today. Retiring professional women have their own 401ks, have their own financial planners, have a secure future ahead of them because they've done the work with you and people like you to get there. So, what I'd like to talk to you about today is what kind of a mindset shift do retired or retiring women need to have about their finances as they enter this stage of life?
Well, that's so important to talk about and to think about. And where I really like to start is with a vision. It's really hard to draft a plan for where you want to go if you don't know where you're going or how you want to do it. So things just will look different based on your vision, but it's so important to start there. One of the things that many of our clients, especially our best clients, have challenges over that we like to help them with is they get to be some of our best clients because they are in the habit of saving and they just live below their means. And there's that mentality might stick around even if it's no longer needed for safety, for security, for their future vision. So I think one of those things might be, are we encouraging as financial planners, are we encouraging our clients to live enough?
Mhm.
Maybe they do have access to the money that can fund their trip to, I don't know, where's a great place that I want to go. I think I want to go to like this somewhere in the South Pacific. That would be great.
Yeah,
So
nice.
yeah, but yeah, so it's people, it's women who've saved, but who might be a little afraid to tap into what they've saved, you know?
Yeah, I've heard the term financial confidence,
Hmm.
and that being, I have the confidence to know that even if I spend, I still will have enough. Can you speak a little bit to that?
Yeah, I think it might feel kind of like a black box or smoke and mirrors a little bit. Like we're really geared to save our entire lives, and then suddenly we transition to retirement and we are suddenly living on our savings, which is a different mindset, different skill set than it took to get to that point.
Mhm.
And so what might be helpful in feeling financial confidence and also tapping into your savings, your investments in order to fund some dream travel or trips or gifting. A lot of people are generous and really love to see their financial blessings in action while they're still here to witness that.
Mhm.
So, what makes a big difference is maybe actually looking at the numbers and getting deeper into what a plan really looks like. Like, what if I tapped into this amount of money now? Like, how would that affect my future choices? Just in case I need money later for something that I don't see coming. So it's important to think about it both ways, but not to live in fear of spending money today just in case we need it in 30 years. So it's finding a balance between the two.
Yeah, I think that's really important. In fact, I love to travel, and one of the things my husband and I looked at when we were looking at our credit card statement for the year is it categorized everything, and there was a significant amount of money that went to travel, and I was like, oh, like yay, that's important to me, and I am so happy that I am living this lifestyle that I want to live. And so I posed this question to someone who's kind of transitioning into retirement. Like, what are you excited to spend money on? What are you happy to see on your credit card statement? And she said nothing. Like, I don't want to spend anything. And maybe I think I was expecting a different reaction, but I'd like you to talk a little bit about, that mindset of feeling, I don't know, feeling good about spending.
Yeah, and I don't know that. So it'll be different for everyone. And some people may not want to see something on their credit card statement, but I think the difference there is going to be leaning into an identity or something to get excited about. Like who are you being? Money is just helping you become more of the person you are. And, being afraid to spend money, I think might be, and if you're not spending money that it's just that's not necessarily saying that you're afraid of living, but I think there are some people who are living smaller lives for that fear of spending money. And so I think it's addressing that piece. Like, okay, let's get clear. Is there actually something to fear here? If not, let's remove that and allow ourselves to live and fully become the people that we're meant to be. So it's a bit of mindset work in addition to getting into the numbers and what's actually happening and what's real versus an imagined fear. So don't let imagined fears keep you living smaller because that's not what it's about. And I want to say, travel. I've had times in my life where I'm more into traveling than others. I've kind of been in a period where I loved kind of being at home and being comfortable, making the space my own. I recently painted this room. And there was a time where traveling was the absolute best, and I imagine it'll come back around to that. I have places that are popping up on my vision board where I want to go. But I remember starting, maybe it was 2017 or so, I started to talk to my mom about maybe we could take a mother-daughter trip to Italy together. And she had studied in Cortona as an art student at the University of Georgia and fell in love with it. In fact, I have some of her journals from that time. And she went back to Italy with her mom and sisters in the early 2000s. And then she and my dad went to Italy, I don't know, maybe 2014. So she had this through line with Italy. And I was thinking, how wonderful would it be for us to have a mother-daughter trip where we're going to Italy? And I had been before with my cousin and some other family and friends, and I almost ripped up my my return ticket back when it was paper. But I was just imagining that, like, how amazing would that be? And unfortunately, that's just still a figment of my imagination, you know. She got sick later that year, had a long battle with cancer, and didn't make it. And I don't mean to be a downer, but I do bring that up because I mean, I couldn't speak at her funeral, but my aunt did, and she said, you know, take the trip. It was so important to my mom, and it's about balancing living life. I really think it's about living life. It's using your resources again to become the person you're really meant to be and not missing out on opportunities because of something. Now, my situation isn't the same, but I want to encourage people to, again, it's not living in fear. If you feel called to do something, whether that's travel, maybe you're starting a business in retirement, maybe you're, I don't know, funding some charitable thing that just really makes you come alive or rescuing dogs, whatever it is that makes you more you, lean into that. And I think that that's the important piece here.
Yeah, I love that so much. And I believe in having these experiences. And what I've lived through in my own experiences is health problems personally with my husband. Nobody's promised another day, right? We all know that that is true. Anything could happen to any one of us at any time. And when you keep putting off those things until someday might never come. So I applaud the idea of really embracing whatever it is that you want to do, go do it. If you have the resources, get out of your own head, get out of your own way, and find a way to do those things that are going to bring you joy, that are going to be meaningful. Because at the end of the day, it's the things that you didn't do that you're going to regret, not the things that you've done.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, I've met with someone today, a client, and she's not in the job that she wants to be in, and that's a big thing. We met because of a different reason, and it's not because of these other things that the reason of our meeting that wasn't the problem, the real problem. And so, I'm a huge fan of whatever it is that is calling your heart. It doesn't have to be a career. It doesn't have to be a trip. It can be those things. And if there is something, a fear that's holding you back, maybe you don't need anybody else, but take a look at your 401k or whatever savings you have, get down into the details of it and start looking at, okay, am I holding myself back because there's really something to be concerned about here? And if so, is there a tiny tweak I can make in my plan so that or the financial plan so that I can plan for this part of my life, which is really calling me out as a human being, you know, so that it might be possible and it might be possible sooner than you believe.
Yeah. Well, and I think what you're really talking about, Melissa, is having a relationship and having conversations with your financial advisor that are really talking more about lifestyle, more about values, more about how you want to live on a day-to-day basis. And maybe that's just part of your process. It wasn't necessarily part of the process when we had dealt with a financial planner before. We didn't really talk about like how you want to live your life day to day. We talked about how much money do you want to have and how much is enough for you to pull the trigger to retire, but really didn't have a conversation about what your lifestyle is going to look like. So I'm wondering if you can, give some guidance on if people aren't having that conversation with their financial planner, how to bring that up or how to start the conversation and really dive into what your lifestyle is going to be like.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't want anyone here to be like, well, my financial advisor said this is the amount of money I can spend and nothing more. And I'll run out of money in 5 minutes. I have some cocktail napkins somewhere that say something like I finally got around to doing my financial plan, and it turns out I can retire at 62 and live comfortably for 7 minutes. Like,
Right.
you know, and so those are fun and cheeky, but ultimately, the goal is, yes, we're here to help bring some reality and shine some light where it might be needed. But I get the sense that if you're listening to this, you're really developing yourself. You are a developed person. There's a lot you've got going on for you, and I would say like you've really got to take charge of that conversation with your financial advisor if you've got one and say like, look, I know we had talked about this as, my if you're in the RMD, required minimum distribution phase, like these are my, this is what I am supposed to take out every year, but that's what age 73 now. So you may not even be there, but take a look, see what is possible for you to live on now. And maybe it's taking Social Security at a time when it might not make sense for the most money over the course of a lifetime if you were to live to 110 or something like that. There are different angles to look at things, and there might even be different tools that can help you build confidence in your plan. I know a lot of people are a little bit afraid of retiring and then a recession happening right away. And there are things that can kind of mitigate that risk, whether it's a bucket approach to money or planning with an annuity. And annuities get a terrible rap and largely deserved, but there are some that, serve a purpose. So I don't throw the baby out with the bathwater there, but there are ways to, say, build your own pension plan so that your early years are kind of locked in and it doesn't matter what the market does because you already have your cash flow and your little buckets of money so that you can afford to make some choices now that you might not if you're worried about what the stock market might be doing. So really be careful not to let the yeah, I often say don't let the tax tail wag the dog, but also don't let the I must save every dollar as possible wag the purpose of why you're saving and doing it. And I had been actually studying up a little bit on Die with Zero, which is a book written, I think his name is Bill Perkins. And the idea is, wouldn't it be great if we knew exactly, like, ran out of money and time at the same time? And it's nearly impossible to plan for that in reality, just because we never know how long we have. But, and it is smart to not necessarily already know where every future dollar is going to be spent because things happen, needs might change, and we may not know that we'd really like to live in a certain senior care facility in our, from 87 to 92 or something. Like that just may not be yet on the radar, and we may not know how much it costs. But so having a little bit saved for to be determined is a good idea. But also just don't let the fear of, well, I'll just wait and wait and wait because you kind of are running out of chances to grab life and do the things you really want to do. And who knows, we're not guaranteed whether it's the ability to travel, we're not guaranteed that. We're making assumptions. Also, this is another thing. We make assumptions that everything will stay the same, like that things today, like the future is going to be like today, just in a while, but it might not. Things might change. Travel may be restricted in ways that we can't foresee coming. Like I will tell you, I never saw that pandemic shutdown coming. Like I wouldn't have been able to guess that. So there are just things that might happen that have never happened before, or that we think are low chance at occurring because we expect the future to be today. And another one of those things was, got used to really low inflation and itty bitty interest rates, which I miss. But but it's that low inflation was something we came to count on, and here we are in a different time. So
Mhm. But yeah, I think you bring up a good point too, that your life can change in ways that are unexpected. And I think sometimes we have a vision of this is what my life is going to be, and then it changes. I thought I would always live away from my kids because I lived away from my own parents. So it wasn't really something on my radar that, I've got three kids. Which one do you move close to? And then if they move, do I move again? Like I had all of that going on in my head. And just over a year ago, we decided to move closer to two of the kids. And so it changed a lot because now our lifestyle changed. We're in a different community. We're in about the same size house. But I know a lot of people within my community, and it's an over 55 community, who have moved to be closer to their kids. So lifestyle can change unexpectedly. And when that happens, I think we also have a tendency to again think like this is what it's going to be without, well, what could it be? So as an example, when my husband and I initially retired, we decided we were going to go and travel Europe for a year. And we had an idea of what that was going to look like. And we had a severance package which helped facilitate the travel. But we didn't want to leave our house empty. I didn't want to move out and rent it, try to rent it. So we started to think differently and think of options. And I said, what if we just rented it furnished? What might that look like? And so it would save, the moving out, the moving back, having to store all your stuff. And we ended up being able to travel. We ended up finding a renter for 6 of the 12 months that we were gone, which helped, right? So I think being willing to think differently and to say, oh, like you have this idea and it's not going to happen because of XYZ, and changing the question to, well, how can we make that happen? So from a financial planning aspect, how would you apply that to, transitions or changes that people make that say, I thought it was going to be this. I thought I wanted to, leave this legacy or do something. And now I want to do something different. How can I make that happen?
yeah, well, I mean, the first step is identifying, right? And having a good reason why. And all of my coaches start with what you want and why you want it. That's the most important piece, getting that emotional hook into it. And I will say if you're clear on what you like on why you want what you want, there are going to be hows that are popping up. And that might be you cross paths with somebody who has connections that help make something possible, or might have ideas for funding or can help facilitate a short-term rental situation, whether it's of a house you own, or maybe you're going to go check out a new place that you think you might want to live. So I don't really ever think we're as limited as we think we are. And I mean, there are several ways that could look. I remember I had just moved back to Georgia from Washington, D.C., and my brother had been applying to jobs. He's a court reporter, and he got a job offer in Colorado. And he's like, but I just signed a new lease. Of course, he's like, I can't move anywhere for a year or whatever it is. And I said, are you sure? Like,
Right?
did you break the lease? and, and so, of course, he can break a lease. It might cost a little money, but what's that opportunity cost there? It's a choice, in that case. Now, if you owned a home, you can sell a home or you can rent it out. Like you also, there are options there as well. I think there are just way more options available to any of us than we may realize at any given time. Sometimes we're just locked into, well, this is what we're doing already and how we thought it would be. Another thing may be, I don't know that this is speaking to anyone listening to this, but if you were in a situation where maybe you didn't really make the financial choices and you just went along with the plan or what your husband had been saying, then maybe it's not a muscle that you've been flexing or working out lately. So I would get creative and get in that brainstorming method or start brainstorming what might be possible. Maybe let's say you don't even know what's possible, but do you have a friend? Maybe the two of you can get together over tea or a glass of wine and start thinking of okay, if I really wanted to take, I don't know, my dad recently went on a European cruise, a river cruise in Europe,
Yeah.
then how do we make that happen? And what do you think the limiting factor is? Is it time? Is it money? Is it fear of taking it out of the market at the wrong time? You know, what is the thing that's actually slowing you down from the outcome that you're looking to achieve? I mean, maybe it's getting a new dog. So I'm a dog lover, um, but maybe it's not as limiting as you think. And, you know, speaking of dogs, I met someone recently who was fostering her friend's dog. She's like, I love this dog. And she's asked us to adopt him because they now have young kids. And it's just, you know, we don't have kids. It's easy for us, but we love to travel. And so, not sure I want to commit to a dog when we've got that going on. I said, well, when I travel, my dog stays with his sister and then her family over in Country Club of the South. He's not at all, you know, lacking for love or anything. And he gets to stay in a home with a family. And when they travel, she comes over here. So it's a nice little great situation. I thought maybe your friend would be willing to watch her former dog if we are traveling. So I don't actually know how that worked out. Didn't get to see her again, but I could just see that she lit up with possibility of, I didn't even think that they might be open to watching the dog for weekends when we were on trips and that kind of thing. So there's just, I think, a lot more possibility out there than we sometimes allow ourselves to believe.
Yeah, well, like 100%. I mean, that resonated so much with me. And the idea that, there's only one way or two ways to do it. There are so many ways. Like get creative. If you know what you want, find a way to make that happen. And, for us moving into um, a master plan community, one of the things that we gained was not having yard work. So we love to travel. We don't have pets because we love to travel. Still have to work on the plant thing because I, sometimes come home to really failing plants um, because I don't have plant care set up. But like, how can you position yourself so that you can live this lifestyle that you want? If you like to travel, these are considerations, but it might just be you have to budget for boarding your pet or having somebody come in or whatever, but that now that's possible, right? And
Yeah.
I think that's the exciting thing is how do you take these resources that you've saved, the money that you have, the ideas and the dreams that you have, and make them work together and make your money work for you and help you to live this life because we both know you can't take it with you. So
No.
it's kind of a sad thing to me to see people with a whole bunch of money when they die and so many missed opportunities that they were unwilling to take because they were fearful or they just wanted to leave a bunch of money at the end, but they neglected themselves in the
Yeah,
process, you know.
that's the thing. Like, just please don't neglect yourself in the process. And the money you've saved has a purpose, and it is for you living this time in your life, right? So I'm not saying go and take 50% of it out and go spend it all this week. That sounds amazingly fun. Please invite me to whatever you're doing. But that's not what I'm encouraging. You know, we had a client call us and said, we're planning to take a road trip and we're going to need $20,000. I'm like, great. I actually wanted to ask her to send me pictures, but I didn't want to create work for her, so I didn't do that. I was like, just sounds so wonderful. So we had, you know, if you have a financial advisor, literally their job is to listen to your instructions. So if you said, send me whatever, they're supposed to do exactly that, send you your own money. So it'll go from your investment accounts to your bank account. And then you'll be able to go gas up the car and start your road trip, you know? So it's, or buy that plane ticket, booked the villa in Italy. You know, there's so much possibility and so much life to live. Maybe it's hiring the coach and getting clear on a plan for launching your business. Or I don't know, like I have friends who love retreats and that community aspect of life and living. I just
Mhm.
want to say if you don't know how to do whatever it is you're dreaming of doing or what your heart is calling you to do, somebody knows how to do that and can help empower you to make that happen. So just share what that is, and you're going to find your way to the people who can help make that possible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so good. So good.
Yeah.
So Melissa, as we wrap up, any other closing thoughts or guidance or advice that you would give women, especially who are retired, retiring, and looking to make this chapter an amazing chapter of their life? Any thoughts?
Oh gosh. You know, I'm gonna be sort of simple here. I think, yeah, counting our blessings, count your blessings. Maybe wake up every day, write it one or two or three things that you're grateful for. But also write what it is you'd really love to see happen. You know, what is that? And allow yourself to dream. So keep on dreaming is what I'd say.
Yeah, excellent. Well, Melissa, how can people get in touch with you?
Yeah, so you can find me at melissamoss.co, or my podcast is Plan the Retirement You Want. You can find that also at plantheRetirementYouWant.com.
Excellent. Well, and I just want to say, Melissa hosted an event earlier this year, the Remarkable Retirement event, and she really does embody this vision of, retirement being more than just your money, but it's about all the other things that happen in your life when you hit this beautiful stage of life that I happen to be in and loving being in. And so she gets it. She gets it that it is not just about squirreling the money away, but how you can how you can let it enable you to live the life of your dreams. So,
Well,
Melissa, thank you so much for spending time with us today. And I just appreciate it so much.
thank you so much for having me, Monica.